In my last video, I talked about 5 Scrum Master job search strategies, and a few people reached out to me asking to help take a look at their resume and their LinkedIn profile, which I did. Today, I want to add that those strategies are based on the assumption that you already have some kind of practical experience with using Scrum. This is very important for the interview stage of the recruitment process because a lot of hiring managers focus their questions on practical experience rather than theoretical knowledge from the Scrum Guide or Scrum certifications. So if you don't already have this type of experience, as an update to that video, today I'm going to be talking about 3 ways you can gain Scrum experience that you can reference in your interviews. If this is something you're interested in, please watch this video to the end. And as always, subscribe, like, and share. Welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm an Agile practitioner based in Ontario, Canada. I also offer trainings, coaching, and mentorship for aspiring Scrum Masters. As I mentioned earlier, this video is a follow-up to my last video where I talked about 5 Scrum Master job search strategies. So you may want to watch that video first before this one. Today, I'm going to be talking about 3 ways you can gain practical Scrum experience if you're currently exploring Scrum Master interviews. This is very important, especially if you're interviewing for your first Scrum Master role. With experience, you're able to confidently answer scenario-based or behavioral interview questions. So these are the what would you do, tell me about a time type of interview questions. Before I get into that, I want to share with you 2 interview experiences that I've had throughout my career. First, I was interviewing for a Scrum Master role a few years back. And secondly, I was the interviewer. So I was interviewing a Scrum Master. So in the first instance, it was a virtual interview, and the hiring manager, shared his screen and opened up a PowerPoint, slide. And in there, he had a case study. And I don't remember what the exact question was because this was some years back now. But the context was that, you're a Scrum Master, you're joining a Scrum team in the middle of a project, and there are maybe 5 developers. I don't remember what number, but he listed the number of developers, designers, QA people on the team. And they are in the middle of a project and they're struggling, to make their sprint goal or their sprint commitment. So he gave me that context, and then he switched over to Jira. So obviously in my resume, I stated in there that I was proficient in the use of Jira and Confluence. And so he switched over to Jira and he showed me the task board. And on the task board, they had, the regular columns ready for dev in development, QA, code review, PO acceptance, and all of that. And they had their sprint backlog items. So apparently this was a project that was ongoing at the time, or they had just concluded, because they had, their tasks at different stages on the task board. Some were estimated, some were not. And the question was, what do you see happening here? What are your observations on this chart? What's going on with this team? And how would you help them meet their commitment? What would you do differently? Now, when I saw that, first of all, when I saw the PowerPoint presentation, I was a bit shaken because even though I prepared for that interview, I wasn't expecting to see that, in the interview itself, not to mention now even moving over to Jira. So I answered that question to the best of my ability. But, someone who just goes into that interview, just having knowledge of the Scrum Guide or just having your CSM or your PSM certification might struggle a bit because this was a question that was supposed to address, a current situation that was happening with the team. And that comes with having some experience. So that's the first one. Now, the second one, in this case, I was the interviewer interviewing a Scrum Master. So I joined the organization, and when I joined, they were transitioning from waterfall to agile. They were at the early stage of that transition. Now, anybody who has, been in an agile transformation initiative knows it's very challenging. So we were having a lot of issues with the teams, pushback from the teams, engineering managers, from, executive level, people. And we were hiring a Scrum Master to join the team. And my boss had said to me to put together some interview questions specifically targeted at, resolving these issues that we're having with the team. So I put together these questions. Some of these questions were, about how would you resolve, or you're in a situation where an engineering manager is opposed to using Scrum. They want to use Kanban because they believe that Kanban is easier. How would you handle that situation? Or developers don't want to estimate because they don't understand estimation. How would you handle? Or they skip meetings because to them those meetings don't even make sense. How would you handle that? How would you introduce Scrum to a team? How would you introduce Scrum to senior level executives? What would you do, for instance, in your first 2 weeks as a Scrum Master? So these are real life situations that we were expecting the Scrum Master coming on board to be able to help us tackle. And these are some of the questions that you would experience from a hiring manager if you're going for a Scrum Master interview. Now, if the only knowledge that you have is from the Scrum Guide or from your CSM or PSM, those certifications are very good. They have their place, but they don't really prepare you for on-the-job scenarios. So this is where your practical experience really comes in. So it's very important that you're coming into your interview having stories to tell that will be able to address certain questions that these hiring managers are asking. Even if these stories are stories that you've heard from other people, as long as they are stories that reflect practical experience, then you'll be able to confidently answer those questions. So the first way to gain practical Scrum experience is to find opportunities within your current organization to use Scrum, even if it's outside what you were hired to do. A lot of organizations have this buddy program where you're allowed to sit with someone outside your team for a period of time to learn what they do. So if you're in this type of organization where they have a buddy program, you can decide to buddy up with a project manager, a product manager, a product owner, a business analyst to learn what they do and slowly start to introduce Scrum to them. And if you don't have this program in your organization, you can still talk to your boss and help them understand that you're interested in a project happening inside the organization and you just want to learn more about the project. So you can take 30 minutes every day or 30 minutes every 2 days, 3 times a week, or even use your lunch break if you don't have that flexibility of time and sit with the team, sit with the project manager, sit with the BA, the PM to understand what they're doing and slowly start to introduce Scrum concepts to them. Things like helping the project manager to do certain tasks. By doing that, you're able to slowly introduce breaking down work into smaller manageable pieces to the PM, and then even help him understand why they should be having planning sessions where they specifically talk about what they will do for a fixed period, which then becomes their sprint. So instead of planning the entire project ahead, you help them understand why it's important to do this, iteratively in shorter time increments. So they break down that work, have a planning session where they talk about what they want to do, and they can execute in sprints. You can even volunteer to introduce sprint reviews. So maybe you observe that they are not having sessions with stakeholders where they show off what they've done and get feedback. Help them understand why it's important for these sessions to happen and start to introduce these sessions to them. You can even volunteer to lead from time to time. Or maybe they're not having retrospectives. Maybe they are waiting till the end of the project to have a lessons learned meeting, which a lot of waterfall projects do. They have the lessons learned meeting at the end of the project. So you can introduce retrospectives, help the team understand why it's beneficial to have these retrospectives from time to time. You can volunteer to lead as well. The idea is to help them understand the benefits of these concepts you're introducing to them so that they are more receptive in trying them out. So these are things that you can do to gain experience even on the job. You don't have to have had the Scrum Master title. You don't have to currently be in the Scrum Master position, but you can join a team that is on a project, or you can join someone who does project, maybe a BA or a project manager or a product manager, and help them do their work better. Help them to understand Scrum. You can even have a 30-minute session with the team, maybe once a week, to introduce Scrum to them. This is experience that you can actually add to your resume if you don't have Scrum experience. Again, even if you don't have the Scrum Master title, as long as you're doing what the Scrum Master does, you can add that experience to your resume and talk about it in your interviews. You'll be in a better position to answer scenario-based interviews because in engaging with these people and engaging with these teams, you would encounter some issues that you would then have to resolve as the Scrum expert on the team, and you can leverage this experience in your interviews, to get you through that interview stage. The second way is to get together with a group of people and work on a project using Scrum. So this will most likely be a personal project, even though hiring managers usually like to hear about projects relating to a work setting. But if this is the only option that you have, then you can still make it count. And how do you make it count? Make sure that the project you're working on is a real project that will actually produce something, and then get together with your friends or a group of people and assign roles to everybody. So choose a product owner, you be the Scrum Master, choose one or two people to be the stakeholders that you're going to demonstrate your work to, and then every other person becomes the developer. And then pick an agile project tool that you're going to use to track the project and progress. This could be Jira, Trello, or any other agile project tool out there. And then you as Scrum Master facilitate that project from start to finish using Scrum. Obviously, because you're playing the role of Scrum Master, you're going to have to learn what a Scrum Master does typically on a project. So you will then have to go and learn that and then come back and implement that on the project. This is experience that you can also add to your resume and also reference as well in an interview. So the third way to gain practical Scrum experience is to enroll for a project-based Scrum training. So I'm not talking about the Scrum Master certification trainings for CSM or PSM, because as I mentioned earlier, those trainings are only to mainly prepare you for the exam, not necessarily the job. I'm talking about a Scrum training that helps you to learn Scrum and also allow you to take part in a team project that uses Scrum. Now, if the project is closely related to the type of projects that Scrum teams usually work on in real life, it puts you in a better position because you're then exposed to on-the-job situations and you learn how to tackle them. Also, hiring managers are more receptive of this kind of experience because it closely matches what their Scrum teams do on a daily basis. So if this is something you're interested in, you can reach out to me or leave me a comment and I'll reach out to you for my upcoming trainings. In wrapping up, I would say that having experience is really key to landing a Scrum Master job. It's not enough to have the right resume or the right LinkedIn profile or to have a Scrum certification. It's very important that you have practical experience that will take you through the interview and also even take you through your first few months on the job. My recommendation from all the options I've talked about will be to go for either the first option, where you are able to find opportunities in your organization to use Scrum, or the third option where you join a project-based training so that you can learn Scrum and also get involved in a project that uses Scrum. The reason is because for these two options, you're going to be working on projects or doing things that are more closely related to an on-the-job real-life setting, so you get that exposure. I'll also add that a Scrum Master role is not an entry-level role, it's actually a leadership position, which is why you will not find Scrum Master job postings with no experience or 1 year of experience. I even haven't seen 2 years of experience. I think the minimum I've seen is 3. And the reason is very simple. Just based on the title of the role, Scrum Master, you're expected to have mastery of Scrum, expertise in Scrum, which means that you have knowledge, you have experience, you're the go-to person for everything Scrum in an organization. So it's really important that you're coming into that role fully prepared, and with your experience, with your knowledge, with your skills, you're going in there fully prepared. Nobody is going to train you. You're going to hit the ground running, and this is not to scare anyone who is exploring that field. It's just for you to understand what the reality is, and you put yourself in a position where you're then prepared to embrace that role. Now, someone may be wondering, I don't have 3 years of experience. I have experience, but it's not up to 3 years. What you can do is to leverage transferable experience that you have or transferable skills that you have from your previous roles. You don't have to have held that Scrum Master title or even be in that Scrum Master position. As long as you're doing things that a Scrum Master does, that's transferable experience, and you also have skills that you can transfer from your previous roles and add to your resume to make up the experience requirement. But in summary, make sure that you have experience before going into your interview. Make sure that you have experience before going onto the job, because it's very important to not only have the job but also to maintain the job as well. And that brings me to the end of my video. I hope you've learned a couple of things. If you have, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions or feedback, also leave a comment and I'll respond to you. And as always, remember to subscribe to the channel if you find content here helpful. Also like and share, and I'll see you in my next video.